Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, a show where you come for your rambling, geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident princess in another castle of the pod, DL.
How you doing? I do have a fair complexion. That's very nice of you.
And you are wearing a big pink dress. So.
As well, yes.
Yeah, it's a good look.
You can't see, but this is my normal cadence.
Oh, you normally wear that around the house,
just a little bit of
Can you
cross-dressing.
float down in it when you jump off a thing?
I haven't mastered that
you should
skill.
try that.
I'm just trying to zip up the back still. You know,
And you're always in a different castle to the one that I thought you were going to be in.
Yes.
As always.
It's very confusing.
How are you,
at
mate?
6'5". I'm good. How are you doing?
I am very good, except I say football, you play soccer. I played football for the first time this week, and I'm like hobbling around like an old
Yeah, it is pretty weird. Like I played basketball on Wednesday, and like I've been playing pretty consistently, but still, like your feet, like the muscles are just sore.
Unbelievable.
In weird ways that just you don't get with any other kind of workout.
We're
at least for basketball.
old men.
I don't even think it's like, I think that's always been the case.
Okay.
Like, I think I just whinge about it more now. Like it's definitely a bit worse, but like even when I played in school, like the next day your legs are fucking tired.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
for sure.
Anyway,
to be fair, man, like I've always had this. I mean, this is so dumb. I've always been pretty injury prone, like in general. Like I never used to work my legs out. I would just literally play football.
I would get some sort of for a reason.
Exactly.
All glamour muscles.
Exactly. I'd get an injury. I wouldn't play all week, and then I'd play again the next weekend. I'd just get injured again and start the process over. So I'd just constantly be injured.
Yeah, you got to stretch for sure.
Yeah, no, I don't do that.
I stretch now because it helps a lot.
Subscribe to that deal. That's not for me. If you want to stick around, please do. There will be time codes in the description. If you want to skip and check out, the main topic or any of the stuff we've been up to this week, as always, they'll be provided by friend of the show and editing genius, Mr. Matthew Bliss of Blissery.fm. His details will be at the end of the pod. Stick around.
And what I will say is, if you're enjoying even the bants, if you like the pod, if you like what you hear, if you like the topics,
any of it
and all of it, give us a 5-star review. We'd love it. We need it. We appreciate the love.
We love it when you give us those reviews, guys. Yeah, what have you been up to in our geeky spheres? What have you been doing?
Oh, dude, as you've seen, if you follow us on Instagram, I have been watching season 2 of Yellow Jackets. I'm up to season 2. We're in season 2, episode 3.
Oh, yeah?
Gail's a big fan. Like I said.
She likes it. You called it out. She liked the Lost. She liked that sort of vibe.
It's pretty good.
So how does season 2 rack up thus far?
It's less slow. It's more like every episode's got some pretty crazy shit happening.
3 in the deep end?
Yeah, and which is kind of normal because like there's only so much you can delay the inevitable. They're only I don't want to spoil too much, but but
I mean like all of the prep and all of the introductions
things are starting to like fill out. There hasn't been any like new mysteries yet. Like I was excited to kind of see like if they'd introduce more new mysteries, which I think is like a good thing as well because you don't want it to go full Lost where it's just a bunch of mysteries, no answers.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, the performances are just as strong as ever. Tawny Cypress, who plays Thaisa, I mean, she's putting on her best Hereditary performance. I'll just say that.
You said Hereditary last
she's
time.
Freaking good, and it's really coming to fruition in this season. So look, been watching that. What else have I been doing?
I just spell Cypress. I'm just looking her up on IMDb.
CY.
As in Cypress.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't really recognize her either, so that's fun.
Yeah,
I like that they seem to have a good mix of established stars, like people who are quite who've probably been like around at least Hollywood for a long time.
For sure.
And then some people like this who seem to be like breakout stars and making their big names.
The younger generation in particular has some breakouts, and then like the old there's some like Juliette Lewis. I don't know if you know her. She's been around the block. And then Melanie Linsky, she was in The Last of Us. And
she's the one we talked about.
She bugs. But like
you didn't like her, right?
She's meant to bug.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
Like,
we've talked about this before, but my only knowledge of her is from 2.5 Men, where she was the psycho ex-girlfriend, and she was just following Charlie Sheen around.
She plays like kind of a psycho pretty often.
She's got that look.
She does. What else have I been doing? I'm RE4. I'm at chapter 13. I think there's 15, so I'm almost done.
So talk about RE4
my first
then.
Playthrough, which has been really fucking good. I'm at the part where there's regenerators. If you guys know that. Fuck, they're scary as fuck.
You know the reference.
I'm about to
hit us up.
I'm about to like fight one of them, and they're not fun.
Oh, that's fun. Tell me more then. So, is it faithfully sticking to the story? Is it taking you out of it? You change
the story.
things?
Like the thing about this game is, the story wasn't really a big driving element. It's very bare bones.
Okay.
President's daughter has been kidnapped. agent has to go find her, investigates her remote village in Spain.
Effectively a Liam Neeson movie.
Kind of.
Yeah. My least favorite actor.
With a subplot of like, we thought Umbrella, this like big biotech firm, was done, but what's going on with all these weird zombie things then? And you're investigating that. So it's not like really a dense story. What I would say is its tone is very like it was like 80s, like paint by like very like one-liner kind of style dialogue. They've done that. They've maintained that well and kind of modernized it in a fun way. And then
that's fun.
The actual like game design and mechanics, it's like very true to the original and changed in good ways. I'd say yes. To all the above, it's like the perfect remake.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize it was an investigation game. I suppose that's kind of a run, like that runs through all of Resident Evil, right? Like you're sort of investigating what's happening. You're in a big spooky mansion.
You're thrown into like a pretty shitty situation, and you're kind of uncovering like how it got there, and then like who's behind it. Usually, most of the time, it's almost always the same.
Yeah, you know it's going to be Wesker at some point.
Yeah, the story isn't that like. Compelling. I think the characters are cool, but the story isn't really what. Yeah,
they don't never really like break the mold with the story, right?
They try to, but it's kind of like paint by the first three are kind of cool in that way, and then the fourth is kind of like where it starts to be repetitive. But
hey, is it 3 or 4 where you've got the big hulking mass thing that follows you around and is scary?
There's a couple of them like that. So there's the second one.
Okay.
Where it's very consistent throughout the game.
Yes.
There's the third one where you have it and it's like a bit different. There's nothing like that in any of the ones after that.
Because I can't remember which one it was, but I was watching some dumb YouTube list the other day, and there's one of them where so you save space in Resident Evil. No, I don't think so. You save space in Resident Evil is in like a room, and it's like a storage room, and you can save and all that stuff. But they can get into the storage room. That
is like
new
RE7, which I never played.
So I think they've put that in one of the new ones as well. Yeah.
So no, that's what I'm saying. The new one, well, they make it so that he can get in, and it's like shocking to all the long time because they're like, what the fuck? Sure. But I haven't played those ones because they're the new ones that are first person. I'll eventually get to them. I'm kind of a third person Resident Evil guy.
Can you change the view?
There's two sects of us. There is. It's very true. Hey, the fandom is split.
There are a lot of different genders, dear.
The fandom is split.
Okay.
No,
I'm kidding.
CT. They made a remastered version of RE8 where you can change the view, but I'd rather just play it the way it was originally envisioned.
Yeah, of course.
It's just not high on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of carrying on doing things and stuff that we've already done, we have carried on with our watch through of Ted Lasso. So the partner smashed through season 1. She finished it in like a day. Like, we talked about it before, and I was like, yeah, she'll watch it. Like literally that night, she watched like 8 of the episodes. It was nuts.
How long are the episodes?
In the first season, I think they're like 20, 30 minutes. And as it goes on, it's like 40, 45 to an hour. Yeah, so we've watched through season 2 as well. I don't know why it got so much heat when it came out. Like it's the same. And it dives into deeper things like the mentality around sport and how like hypermasculism is like a real problem.
Wasn't it season really 3 that's getting a bunch of shit?
Season at the time when it came out, season 2 got like mediocre reviews.
Oh, really?
I really like it. Like you know me, and you know my story, but it has a real deep part about it where Ted, the main character, Ted Lasso, Jason Sudeikis, he starts having these panic attacks, and it kind of stems back to his like old man like committing suicide, and it's like really effective and really deep, and sort of the story meanders to look at other people a bit more and like focus on some of the other stories. But when it comes back to him, it's a lot about his like internal struggle, and I find that fascinating and like I don't think sport shines a big enough light on mental health impacts on these kids.
Does it conflict though with the tone of comedy? Because that's probably why people are annoyed.
I think it adds to it. I think so. Right. So all right. We've talked about this before. My favorite kind of TV show is when my favorite kind of comedy TV show is a dramatic comedy, right? So a perfect example of this was the early seasons of Scrubs, when it was a drama and it had these comedic moments that brought levity and made you really connect with the characters. Yep. And that's what this is kind of like.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, this has a lot more comedy to it because of Ted's character, but it does the dramatic moments really well.
Scrubs had a lot of comedy too.
Yes.
I mean, I think it changed at one point where it became more drama, but like even at the end of it, it was still like a comedy, I'd say.
I would say it. So it started off as a dramatic comedy, and around season 4, it became a comedy with dramatic moments. Yeah. And that definition and that switch is massive because it was all about the comedy, throwing in some dramatic moments. Don't get me wrong, some of the best dramatic moments were in post season 4, but the show as a whole suffered because it didn't have that Like the through line wasn't a drama where they were like in the hospital and everything was going crazy and wrong. It was more like, here's a funny situation, but there's a dramatic bit thrown in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more scripted.
Yeah. But Ted Lasso, I still highly recommend. We're working on getting to Yellow Jackets, but I know we're about halfway through the 3rd season now, so I think there's 5 episodes out. And I think it's now week by week. So God, we're going to have to find something else to watch. Yeah. So Yellow Jackets might get the nod.
You will have trouble sleeping at times.
Might get subbed in. All right. What else are we up to?
What else, dude? I've been watching The Mandalorian season 3 and I'm still loving it. I don't know why you hate it.
I don't hate it.
I think that it is like one thing I will say is like what's stopping it from being like premiere TV is the world building that they're trying to make it all Marvel-y. Like, they should not have had Boba Fett with like 4 episodes of this, and it should have should have been a consistent season.
It should have been the start of the season,
and it would have been like heavy hitting episode. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's one thing I'll say, but at the end of the day, I'll forgive it because I still think it's good. One thing I need to call out is you're just making up rumors.
What do you mean?
Pedro Pascal's not considering leaving. There's nothing. You just want that to happen. Why are you putting that energy out?
Look,
there?
I can't help what I read, man.
There's no reason. The Associated Press with zero sources is not welcome here, especially when it's Pedro.
Are you trying to say that
the Mandalorian?
Are you trying to say that we have any credibility at all?
All I'm
because
saying
there is zero credibility.
Stop putting that negative energy out there. That is like no one said anything. That's just some blogger.
Yeah, it's a rumor I heard in a couple of podcasts. Yeah. It's fine. I hear what I heard was that he's not in the mask as much as he used to be. So like it's more just his voice rather than him actually doing everything.
I think that's just because of scheduling, right? Like The Last of Us is probably a pretty intense. Maybe. Like he was filming that at the same time.
He's also doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is good. Like he needs to be out there more.
Now.
So you're liking it then?
I am liking it.
Where are you up to?
I'm on episode 4. So they just saw the Mythosaur.
Yeah, I'm there too.
Yeah.
It's crap. It's boring.
No, I'm loving it. You don't know enough about the lore, obviously.
It took me... I shouldn't have to enjoy a TV show.
You shouldn't have to, but like I didn't know it. I watched 2 episodes.
Well, just because you nerded out on a bunch of Star Wars stuff.
I watched 2 episodes. I think this is like the way Star Wars should be. I watched 2 episodes. Like this and Andor are like the 2, like if you look at like the sliding scale of like mythos to like just raw grittiness, like those are the 2 I guess what's the word I'm looking for?
Ends of the scale?
Ends of the scale. God, I'm great.
You okay? You okay, bud?
The ends of the scale of Star Wars that I like for different reasons. And like when they're combined together, that's like perfect. But like I think that like this is like the peak of the mythos style.
Right.
And then the Andar is like the peak of like the gritty kind of crimes, empire rebellion style. Like those are the 2 types of Star Wars flavors I love. And I think they're doing this really well. I didn't know the lore before. I watched 2 episodes and it was so intriguing to me that I went and looked it up. So it's not like that I needed to, it's like it pushed me to.
Sure. Let me rebuttal then.
Long way of saying that.
Some of us don't have a lot of time, DL, and that's usually includes yourself. I just literally like I'm not finding it interesting enough to look back and find out what the lore is. Like if it was like intriguing stuff on screen, I'd be like, oh, maybe I want to know more about that. But I don't.
For me, it is, and it's taking market share from other things like Marvel. Like I haven't watched
nothing new Marvel.
I haven't watched any of the Marvel. Like I could have been tapping on all those Marvel shows that I didn't want to watch that are all released. I still haven't finished talking. Like you know what I mean? It's just not as compelling to me. This is more compelling. Does that make sense?
Oh, completely.
It's just taking market share from something else.
Completely. And if you check out my latest video on our YouTube channel, Podcast Assemble, you will find the reason why I'm sort of falling off a little bit. It's a lot about the lamp shading side of things. Using humor in inappropriate ways, as in like, in a moment where it should be, the big decisive moment, they'll chuck like a joke in at Thor Love and Thunder's expense. And it's not for me at the moment. It's really falling down a bit. But moving on then, I've done a fun thing this week and I'm kind of in the middle of video games. So I told you I finished the Hogwarts Legacy game.
Yep.
Bad ending. Good game in terms of gameplay. Enjoyed it. Like good experience, good exploring. Bad ending, weird story, didn't really enjoy that part. But I've been playing an in-between game, something to tide me over until the new Zelda comes out, which I think is soon,
Yeah,
like in the next week or so.
I never finished the original.
No, I know how it finishes though. I didn't really want to. I enjoyed it so much. I was like, I don't need to finish
Exactly.
this.
I was like, I don't want it to end.
And I also read that if you finish it, you lose all of your gear for New Game Plus or whatever it is. Like, you just lose everything. I was like, I worked hard for this sword. I want to keep it. So I've been playing an in-between game, and it's one of my more niche loves. Loves is the wrong word. One of the more niche things I enjoy. And I've been playing the latest Pokemon game, Pokemon Violet.
Yuck.
Which you know what? It's fun. It's open worldy. You run around a bit. You catch some Pokemons.
Is it 2D?
No, it's 3D. It's open world. It's good. I like it.
Have an open world that's 2D.
That's true, but this is an attempt. It's funny because when it first came out, there was loads of bugs with it and stuff, and the guys who created it were just like, we don't have time to fix this. So like, you'll be like, they're on like a 3-year schedule, so every 3 years they have to release a new Pokemon's game. And it's
That's
really
ridiculous.
It's nonsense. So like, I'm pretty sure they've made like minor tweaks to it, so some of the bigger bugs are fixed. But like, you'll be riding along, and there'll be like a person like effectively moonwalking forwards on the street. It's like
it's a great way to like alienate your fans, though.
Completely, absolutely.
That's very not Nintendo style.
Pokemon fans are very
rabid
for this stuff.
But they don't care.
I don't think they care that much. Like, it's
like
fun.
Nintendo would never do that to Zelda. Like, there's certain brands that they just never would fuck that up with. You know what I mean?
Is Zelda a first party game, or is it created by someone?
I don't know.
Because this is still created by the same company that's done all the games. And I've completely forgotten who it is off the top of my head.
Like, so they own the rights and Nintendo just is the distributor? Like,
Pretty much.
They could go somewhere else.
It was created by someone else. Yeah. So the people who own the Pokemon rights could
go PlayStation.
No, I don't think so. I think they could have a different studio create the game. So the studio that created the game is effectively this middle person that's just forced to push out a game every 3 years.
Yeah, I guess my question is, does Nintendo own the IP to Pokemon?
Great question. Not 100% sure. Because it did start out as a game, right? Like, it was a game, then it was a card game, then it was the anime. It's quite funny. There's a bunch of memes going around about the anime, like, early days. And whatever the lead character's called, Ash. And he's just like, he's brutal to that Misty character. He's just...
Really?
Like,
is he just a dick?
It's come around so many times.
Ash.
Yeah. Like, he's like a dick to her. She's like... There's like a bug Pokemon or something, and she's like, oh my god, bug Pokemon's like one of the worst 3 things in the world. And he like strolls in and he's like, well, including you, what's the other one? like, bro, chill.
Savage, bro. Burn.
What else have you been up to, buddy? Got any last one?
No, that's all I did. That's all I did. I've been just, catching up on Mando and Yellow Jackets and Resident Evil. My 3 favorite things.
I'll give you my last one then.
What does that say about me? The 2 of them are fucking creepy.
Yeah, no, not a lot. You're in that stage of life. I can see that. You need something a bit different to push you out of your comfort zone.
Shock me out of it, yeah.
Well, the last thing I did in this last week, and I think you're going to really like this, and we're eventually going to talk about this on the podcast, is me and the partner, it was actually her Novita week. Somehow we ended up doing a thing that I like, which, who knows? I didn't push for it.
Black magic,
exactly. We watched Hot Fuzz. Now, that's one of my all-time favorite comedies.
Roll of those.
Yeah, somehow we're getting there. It's obviously Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost. Like, oh my god, I forget how much I love this film every time I watch it, and like the in-jokes and the random references, and then the references to the other films in the Cornetto trilogy. God, it's so good.
Are they connected, meant to be, or no?
Who?
Those movies?
Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World End. They're like a trilogy of like, they're basically his pastiches on like different genres.
But like, they're not the same characters. They're new people. No,
they're different peoples in each one. So like in Shaun of the Dead, he's obviously called Sean.
Yeah.
And in this one, what's he called? Nicholas Angel. It's really good. The last one, World's End, I think we talked about this recently. The last one, World's End, it's derided a little bit from the fans of the first 2. But if you actually go in and pay a bit of attention to it, like it's so good in the way it like subverts expectations and uses horror tropes from some of the sort of like alien, like body snatcher type movies. Actually, we were talking just before.
I've seen it for sure. I remember. Yeah. It's like a pub crawl, right? And
yeah. And the way that the lead character turns out, like his motivations are pretty wild. It's really good. In fact, we were talking about a YouTube channel, which I highly recommended to you just before, called Nerdstalgic.
Yep.
They do a really good video on it, just like 7-8 minutes, where they break down why it's like the perfect body snatcher type movie, and like how the comedy highly recommend going and checking that out. Really good.
Will do.
Well, what we do now is we like to talk a little bit about the things we've heard, the things we usually see on Instagram, to be quite honest with you.
We get our news from social media.
We sure do.
The rest of you.
We sure do. Well, DL, it's time for the return of weird news, and you're not bringing it this week, but I'm going to bring the heat now.
Okay.
This is fun. Weird news this week, DL. Did you hear that apparently Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey have both come out and said they might actually be brothers.
Yeah, but I can't tell if they're being facetious.
I can't tell either, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
They're both like, we could be brothers, but we don't want to take a paternity test because, or whatever. We don't want to take a DNA test because we're worried we might actually be brothers.
Yeah, fucking whatever.
How weird would that be?
I don't know. It'd be pretty. One of the best shows ever is them two.
True Detective
season 1.
True Detective season 4 is coming out soon.
Yeah, I know.
Did you hear about that?
I did. I got to catch up on 3.
Three is up there with 1. Well, maybe not with 1.
1
but 3
is so
up
good.
there.
I just can't believe it.
Different. Well, apparently 4, the trailer has some like subtle hints at the earlier shows. So like it's supposed to be like they're all completely separate.
Yep.
Each
Isolated,
one is exactly. Like each one's a procedural with a completely different set of characters, etc. But apparently the 4th one has some subtle hints to earlier series. That would be cool.
Interesting for sure. And I like that it's a female.
Yeah, who is that?
It's Jodie Foster, isn't it? And somebody else.
That's it, Jodie Foster.
But I do I'm not gonna lie. Like it was like kind of felt like a trailer that just like looked really cool, but didn't have a lot of substance.
Oh, okay.
When I rewatched it, I was like, there's no like great dialogue. There's just like 2 people angry at each other. And I got to go rewatch the other trailers and see if that is the way they all feel. I forget.
Yeah. I think they're all just like a bit spooky and mysterious.
But I wasn't even that like scared. Like the other ones, I was like, ooh, that looked weird. It was just like blood on the snow. I'm like, okay, sweet.
Standard.
There did seem to be something cool about like the light with like Alaska having like summer with light forever and then a bunch of winter for a long time. You know how like they have long days.
So Game of Thrones?
Yes, or just Alaska.
Sorry, guys. Bring the tone down.
Can I just say before we kick off that we did confirm, I think a week ago or something.
Sure.
That Harry Potter was
apparently
actually really coming back. So obviously like fan casting rumors are abound.
Yeah, of course.
And we've talked about Adam Driver.
Yes.
And I think we had a conversation. This isn't really news, but we're going to create news about how good would it be, because we were on the topic of Pedro Pascal earlier, if he was Sirius Black.
I would like that a lot.
How fucking good. Can you imagine?
Do you think he's got the dark side in him as well? Do you think he's got the...
Yeah. Well, that's the Joel.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's like Joel
that's
meets...
true.
It's like Joel meets...
Happy Meme,
Oberyn meets like all the characters he's ever done, really. Meets...
God, yeah, that's true.
And I just think that the scenes that you get between Snape and him with all that boyhood drama would be so good if it was Adam Driver and Pedro Pascal.
Now, my only minor challenge on that might be that I think Pedro's probably quite a bit older than Adam Driver.
So
whether they age one of them up or down. Yeah, they could age Adam up because Snape's supposed to be an older character, right? Like
they're both supposed to be the same age. So
that's what I'm saying. But I think Snape is supposed to be an older character. So that could be fun.
Yeah, I think they age Adam up because it's easier, I think, to do that.
Age him up and down.
Or you could age him up a bit and add Pedro down a bit. Like you've seen Pedro look older in The Last of Us and then young suddenly in flashback. So it could be done. And I think that they should do it.
I think so too. Imagine the budget on that. It's going to be like wild.
For sure. And they're both like, Adam Driver's not really HBO, but it's like the fans have been yelling for it. So like they very much know. And then Pedro's obviously very connected to HBO. So like I think it could happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Fun. I'd like to see that. Any other fan castings? Anything else?
We'll do one a week. How about that?
Well, we've already done those two. So give me another one.
No, this is the Pedro's new.
So I'm going to go out here and say I think they should cast young for Dumbledore and age the actor up. So, like, the way they did it with the movies.
So the guy doesn't die?
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's going to be going on for, like, 10 years again.
That's a fair point.
Like, that's going to take a lot out of someone as well. Like, I reckon they should go...
Dumbledore will be the most interesting casting, I think. That, like, I don't know where
they need to get that right.
Yeah.
They need to get that right. Because last time they didn't... Both those actors were not right for Dumbledore.
The first one, like, as a kid, I remember was like, oh, I could kind of see it. But, like, when I go back now, I'm like, he's way too old.
Way too old.
Yeah.
Way tall. Like, I kind of liked him at the time, but then when you watch him, like, he's so frail. And like, no offense to Richard Harris, he's a good actor. Yeah. Like, he's likable as Dumbledore. He doesn't have that youthful exuberance that Dumbledore has, though.
Exactly. No, it'll be a tough one. I think that one and how they go with Harry, where I've talked about it a bit, but I want a more like actually troubled, not overconfident Harry.
Yeah, sure.
But we'll see.
I think child actors now, especially in things like you were talking about, Sweet Tooth, stuff like that. They're tasked with, being darker characters and giving more to a role. Whereas I do genuinely think in slightly older stuff, kid actors were just kind of like, yeah, just, go out there and say your lines. Whereas now it's a bit like they need to
so hard to
embody
cast a kid.
So hard. At 11 as well.
And to like not have them be like fucked up by the time that like
totally
they're six. Like it's a hard thing. I don't know what they're gonna do.
I'm intrigued. I am intrigued. DL, let's move on then. Did you hear this week there has been a CinemaCon going on? Lots of things were announced. I think you're going to touch on some in a minute, but did you hear that the Kraven the Hunter movie with Aaron Taylor-Johnson, your favorite actor, I think it got some initial footage and it was screened. It's also been confirmed that it's going to be an R-rated movie, which is very interesting and kind of Sony leaning into that. Hey, R-rated movies, they make money nowadays. Why don't we try this?
Yeah, they're basically doing the opposite of Marvel.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, that's good. It's not. It's going to be a bad movie, but like I like the trying. And apparently, Rhino is going to be the main villain. Now, do you remember the Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield? They had Paul Giamatti in a big metal rhino suit.
I don't remember because I didn't see them.
Oh, good, because that's bad and it looks bad. Yeah. It's like. Do you remember that scene at the end of Infinity War when Mark Ruffalo is in the... Yeah. He's in the Hulkbuster armor and it's just a floating head? That's what it looks like. Except somehow worse. Oh. So I hope it's not going to be that version. But Paul Giamatti's good as the Rhino. I think we can bring him back. I like Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. He's a good actor in general.
He's great.
Just like, I don't really know much of the lore around Rhino.
I mean... Why would you?
Yeah.
I beat him up a lot of times in the Spider-Man games.
Yeah, he was easy to beat, actually.
Yeah, so easy. He's like the first boss. Yeah. Did you hear anything from CinemaCon, my man?
Yeah, I did get something from CinemaCon. Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Moon, which again stars Leo and Robert De Niro.
Has this not been on your most excited for movies for like 6 years in a row?
Yeah, eventually it'll come out. There's been some new images. And I think they maybe even had a screening. I'm not sure.
I don't think it's that far down the line.
But well, it is. It's basically wrapped. They're just editing it.
Okay.
And it was like something like 5 hours long. Oof. We'll see if he actually ends up doing that. But
no, absolutely not.
I'm liking what I'm seeing from the images. It looks very timepiecey, cowboy-y, western-y, serial killer-y. I'm very excited. So there's not much news there, but a couple more
that's fun.
Screen grabs.
I like when movie studios do that. It's almost like, you guys, we're going to give you nothing, but you're going to love it. It's like, I don't care about some new images. Yeah, I think I saw them.
She's very tall. This Pocahontas.
I do think he's on one knee, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Is he on one knee, or is it just she's incredibly tall?
Either he's really small in this, or she's very tall.
Because he's only the size of the car.
He's about half the size of this woman.
Who is that?
That's Leo.
No.
Yeah.
We've got a really good bit of correspondence at the end of the show from one of the friends of the show about Leo, and perhaps a recommendation for another movie we could talk about.
Okay.
DL, did you see this week that The Witcher got some big news? Big news. So they dropped new images, a trailer, and the release dates for the upcoming Series 3, which R.I.P. Henry Cavill.
How do we feel about this?
Yeah, the trailer didn't give a lot away. It's not really a trailer, it's a teaser, right? It's it's a bit bittersweet, I'd say. That's what I'd say, because I'm equally excited to see more from Henry in the role, but knowing he's not going to be it, how's it going to end?
It kind of just feels as if knowing he's not going to be in it, definitely going to be bad.
Is
not because why it must have been so bad for him to leave.
Maybe
and it's like for years that he's commented on like, I'm just trying to keep them true to like subtle jabs.
Yeah.
So it's like for him to leave and also not be Superman when he left, like, oh, maybe he's leaving because that's the scheduling conflict.
Technically, he did come back as Superman for like a hot minute there.
So maybe he thought, maybe he was like,
he's like, maybe we can do this, guys.
Yeah, maybe he shot off a bit early there.
Maybe.
Anyway, I just think I don't think it bodes well for how this season's going to play out.
Do you think
and the second season was a step up from the first. It still had issues, but it was a step up.
I agree. The second, we talked about this. I think we did a pod on it. His performance specifically was incredible in that second season. And I think moving away from that weird non-linear timeline did wonders for the show. Like the first season was just nonsense.
It's pretty obvious the showrunner sucks.
Yeah, completely. But I think the thing that I'm intrigued to know how they're going to do it. How are they just going to replace the guy? Like, you can't just be like, he drinks a potion and he's a new person. Like, is he going to regenerate like Doctor Who? Like, what's the go here?
I don't think they're going to acknowledge it.
You think they're just going to carry on regardless?
Yeah.
Are all the other actors coming back? That's another question. Whoa.
I think they're just going to not acknowledge that it's a different person.
That sucks.
I mean, like, how else could they do it? Like, oh, facial scarring. Like,
well, I mean, it's The Witcher. There's magic and shit. Like, what's the name?
mean, you're right. They totally could.
Maybe he goes through the same transformation as
why?
What's her name did? What's her name? Begins with a Y.
Yennefer
did. Maybe he goes through the same
Sugar
transformation.
tits.
He gets his junk cut off and he becomes a new person. It's like I don't want to have kids. Cut my junk off.
That's a tough start for Liam.
Yeah, I know.
It's like first scene.
But like the whole point of Geralt is he's like some sort of like Lothario at points, right? Like,
dude, I just don't know what they're gonna do, and I just don't think it bodes well. That's all I'm saying. But I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch it for sure. Yeah. We'll probably talk about it at some point.
Yeah,
we'll be like, yeah, this was good. This was exactly the same. We still hate Yennefer. Why didn't they recast her instead of the guy who actually likes the material?
Just go watch our last episode.
I think there was a really good point in that where, you know, when she does the transformation from like the humpback to the like, the less, how would you even describe that? Where she
goes from humpback to hot piece of butt.
She has she does the transformation. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And there is a moment where you could just be like, oh, she's not very good. Let's recast.
I'm not, like, I think that she's like not necessarily, it's not all on her. I think it's partially the writing.
You're probably right.
But you're right. She has one mode and it's like, I'm angry mode.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's just the writing. Like they had, she's like the biggest missed opportunity in the show.
Completely.
They should have had her be like humpback for like 2 seasons.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So you see the transformation, right? It's like you get a whole season of,
but then who's going to get their boobs out all the time?
Random horror 3.
Isn't that the point of The Witcher?
Member 4.
Yeah, isn't that the point? Yeah. Isn't there like a bunch of like love interests for Geralt in the game?
Mad sex scenes in the game.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like you're like watching a porno.
Yeah, it's awkward when your partner walks in and you're like, it's normal. I promise you, I was fighting with a sword. I was fighting with a sword a minute ago.
I didn't willingly choose to go here.
He's fighting with his sword now, but
it's not an open world. I swear. God,
I am not that thrilled to see him.
I'm not
leave
speaking
The Witcher
from experience either.
Oh yeah, okay.
Carry on.
Look, I'm not thrilled to see him walk away. I will give Liam a chance. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's been brought in for a reason. He's not a terrible actor. He's not amazing. Like he ruined.
What
the
has he
Independence
ever
Day
done
franchise.
that gives you like any confidence that he can do anything other than being like the romantic heartthrob?
I'm just trying to be nice.
Yeah, I could tell, and I have to call you on this shit. I mean, I would gladly be told, no, go watch this Liam movie.
I can't think of it. I don't know anything. I only really know him from a few. What I'm trying to say is, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, hit us up on at podcastassemble on Instagram and let us know what we should watch Liam Hemsworth in. What I'm saying is, I'm a big enough fan of that universe to give it one more go with him in. And if it's crap, I'll stop watching it.
And you can buy yourself flowers.
What is that about?
Oh, that song's about him.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Oh, get back. Where have you been? Under a rock?
Miley Cyrus?
Yeah, because they were together. They broke up under mysterious circumstances, and now she can buy herself flowers.
I don't care about Miley Cyrus. Final bit of news from myself before I move on then, DL. Did you hear that Netflix, it's going to start rolling out its password sharing plans in the US? And that is kind of terrifying and very sad.
I don't know. They're going to make money. Their company.
Yeah, I get that, but like the company who used to tweet passwords are made for sharing. Come on.
Yeah, company's good, good times and bad times.
It's hard times.
You ever like seen your Facebook posts from like 2007, bro? Don't let me get your receipts.
You really do not want to see my receipts. They're bad.
Me neither.
I had a lot of hair back then.
What do you mean?
I had like the full emo fringe.
Oh yeah,
straightened as well. So it was
you can't really judge Netflix. They're revenue seeking. What I will say is it'll be interesting, like how if maybe just streaming isn't a profitable business.
Sure. I mean, I don't think it is. I think the interesting thing is with Netflix specifically, they don't do like pilots of stuff. They just go, okay, we greenlit the whole season. Like, here's $200 million. I feel like they could have been more savvy with their money when they're just like, when they're building up some shows of their own and stuff. Like, they obviously started by bringing shows from elsewhere. Makes sense to move into their own content that they have done over the last 5 years. But be a bit savvy with it, man.
Netflix, what I would say is it feels like over the last like 10 years, or maybe not as much recently, but before that, they just took a bunch of people from Hollywood studios and brought them, like the big ones, because they paid a lot. And so like, those are the people they're going to attract and brought them in. They should come almost like a Y Combinator. That's like a venture capitalism reference style thing where it's like, you have like little hubs of like small indie studios that are completely isolated from the pay structure, like little hubs within Netflix to produce different kind of shit. Because everything kind of feels the same.
Besides the patronizing comment, yeah, I completely agree with you. I feel
it's not patronizing. It's why I don't think most people would know what it like. Why it's like, you know, startup hubs. They have like what do they call them? They talk about it in Silicon Valley, where they all live in a house. And it's like a bunch of different founders.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You could do that, but like with different types of studios.
They could have been way smarter about this. They just weren't.
For sure.
They just thought, let's throw money at everything. Look, if there's anything you've heard that we haven't called out, hit us up at podcastassemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com, or just go to our website, www.podcastassemble.com, and you can find all of our contact details. Hit us up, tag us in a meme, send us. You know, we've not had memes for a while. I feel like we need to bring memes back, even though I think
memes are doing fine without us.
It's a very visual... No, I mean, it's in like things people have sent to us.
I know.
It's a very visual thing for a podcast, I admit. But like, send us your news, guys. We'll call you out when you send it over. DL.
Yeah.
Do you want to preface our main topic this week?
Yeah. It is Super Mario Brothers, the movie, which, you know, I think if you look up the receipts, I've been pretty critical of up to this point in my... you know, viewings on where this will go and why they are doing it. But yeah, we watched it, went to the theater.
Wait, from 1993 with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo?
No, from 2023 with Chris Pratt and Charlie Day.
You're absolutely right. And we're going to do it in non-spoilers, then spoilers.
Which, I mean, what can you really spoil?
Well, I mean, yeah, we'll get there. Yeah. But DL, can you give me your stupid plot summary for this before we kick off?
Yeah, I can. Mario and Luigi take mushrooms and have quite a trip.
It's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. I can't believe I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Mine is, it's a me, an interspecies relationship making a kid's movie super weird. I mean, Mario.
Gross.
Yeah.
Well, they may be the same species. We don't know where she's coming from. You're talking about maybe Bowser.
Yeah, Bowser and Peaches. Yeah, made it real weird. When you think about it, right?
Interdimensional.
Yeah. Where did she come from? Who knows? All right, DL, do you want to guess for me the IMDb score for this at present?
7.
It's a 7.3. I thought you were going to chuck. You love a 3. You love a 0.3.
I do like a 0.3 typically, but this is...
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Do you want to guess me the Rotten Tomato score?
82.
No, it's actually 59.
Really?
Yeah. Like, that's pretty brutal.
That is brutal.
Yeah. Finally, the Metacritic score. Can you guess that for me?
48.
Oof, 46. You were right there. You were so close. This is the updated Super Mario Brothers movie from Illumination Studios. You know, the guys who created Minions, Despicable Me, etc., etc. They got such a cast for this. And you know what's interesting? When you look at the cast, top billed is Kevin Michael Richardson. I don't even know who that guy is, but it's obviously got Jack Black.
What does he play, though? I saw that as well.
Kamek. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
It's got, like I say, Jack Black. It's got Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, Keegan-Michael Key, Anya Taylor-Joy, Seth Rogen. It is a hectic cast, none of which are professional voice actors.
No.
So they've clearly gone for the...
well, Jack Black's he's done a lot.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of things.
Voice acting.
Let's kick off then, DL. Do you... give me like the plot of the movie. Talk me through what goes on here.
I mean, I guess we're really just watching Mario and Luigi break off in another Y Combinator reference. Startupville in Plumbing Town.
Yes, they certainly are.
They start their own plumbing startup. Not sure about that endeavor.
Too many starts.
Which is a tough start due to an overzealous Labrador.
Yes.
And from there, we get, family criticizing them, leaving a very, very solid job to the point where, they're doubting themselves. But in true form to the Public Works Department of New York, there is a massive plumbing issue. It is very ineffective. And in order to save Brooklyn, they go and investigate and see if they can go, help this flood.
That's the most realistic part of the whole movie, by the way.
Really? It's really grounded in reality.
So is. Wait, New York fucked up? No way.
New York fucked up? Poo everywhere? Yeah.
Who would have guessed? Rats everywhere? No shit.
A plumbing kerfuffle later in New York threatens the city. They go investigate and end up in an interdimensional tube.
They do.
Plumbing.
Where they're taking mushrooms.
Pipe?
I feel like they should have taken the power mushroom at the beginning, and it was just a trip the whole way through. Now it's funny that it's funny that you sighed while you were explaining the plot of this movie, because I'm 100% there with you. Like, and I don't want to get too far ahead, because there are things about this movie that I genuinely did quite like, but the whole time I was just like, what?
I mean, like, I don't know what I was expecting.
Well,
does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you can't really blame it. Like, what would you think? It's not like this is missed opportunities.
I'd say it is. No.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm going to rebuttal you there. I think there are missed opportunities. So if you watch, this is a kids movie, right? Okay. Let's be very clear up top. Yeah. This was a movie for kids. That's what it was.
Yes.
Now, if you watch,
which is why Gail liked it so much.
If you watch any kids movie of the last 10, 20 years, even further back, there are elements for adults.
I agree.
There are jokes.
I agree with that, and I have that in later. But I merely meant like plot wise. What more could they have? Because you were saying, hey, I kind of rolled my eyes at the plot. Like, well, what else could they have done?
Yeah, no, not a lot. But what I think is like, so the point I'm trying to make is, even in those movies where the plot is bare bones, it's very basic, there are still moments that you can go, oh, I get that reference, but that child's sitting 4 rows in front of me.
That's the way a good child movie is made.
Of course.
Pixar's nailed that.
They've absolutely done it, and Illumination clearly quite haven't with this one. But the plot of the movie is that, they go into Mushroom Kingdom. They go into the Mushroom Kingdom. They go into one of the Mario worlds, and it's all been threatened by Bowser. And Mario and Princess Peach have to effectively beat him back.
Yep.
I nearly said off. That would have been a very different conversation.
Spiky.
There's your blue for the dads.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. What did you think? Did you play Mario growing up?
Yeah, here and there. Like, I couldn't tell you every title, but I definitely played like Super Mario Bros, like the one on the SNES, Super Nintendo,
SNES, yeah.
SNES. And then I definitely played the Mario 64.
Oh, right, okay.
Which was an awesome game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And then like random Game Boy ones. I think I played Donkey Kong and Mario.
Yeah, nice. So
that's a game, right?
I wasn't a big Nintendo guy growing up. So we had like Game Boys, Game Boy Advance, all that stuff. So anything that came out on those, I was all over. I smashed Super Mario 1, the very original game.
Mm-hmm.
First person I found me to beat it when I was about 8. This guy, even though my brother's great at video games, I was absolutely thrilled with that. But outside of that, all the 3D stuff, the move into N64, I wasn't really across it. I know it by osmosis more than I do. And like, I played a lot of Mario Kart growing up because obviously it's a good one to get with your friends around and play.
True, Mario Kart I played. So I would say Mario Kart and the Super Mario, or like the Super Mario 64 are like the most modern ones I've played.
Okay.
I did play Diddy Kong.
Oh, okay.
What was it? Diddy Kong Racing?
There's a lot of them. Yeah,
I played.
They've all got their own spin.
What's the Diddy Kong, or like the Donkey Kong World? I played that one too.
Yeah, Donkey Kong World, the 2D one. Yeah. Now I ask you that because like this movie feels like they reverse engineered a bunch of references to the games and went, this is a thing that people will recognize. Let's put it in as a plot beat. Like that's what it feels like they did. They went, here's the thing, you'll recognize this noise or you'll recognize this thing from the games.
Well, of course.
How can that fit in?
Of course. How else would you do it?
Well, you'd write a coherent story and then build in things that make sense.
With a video game, though, like there's not a coherent story. I actually didn't mind that element.
Sure.
My biggest complaint is similar to you with like there wasn't a lot of like undercover depth jokes for parents and like not parents, I guess, adults.
Anyone who's over the age of about 8. And look, like I'm going to preface this right now. I had a lot of fun with this, like a lot.
There's still some funny ones that even the kids and you would laugh at.
Like I found myself like, I'm going to say like snorting through my nose multiple points. Like it had some heart to it. Like I like the growing relationship between Mario and Luigi, but I just feel like as soon as you start to like scratch a little bit on the surface and you ask any question of the movie, what are the tones and themes? What is the pacing of this? What is the world building? It's like, it doesn't really hold up.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you start to think in any way analytically about it, and don't get me wrong, if you've read my blog on the website about Cocaine Bear, I'm happy to switch my brain off.
This is an Inception.
It's true. Completely. I just thought there's, you know what I think? I think they just wrote a script and went, that's fine. They didn't do a second pass at it. They didn't really look through it. They just went, yeah, all right, we'll do that. That whatever. Kids know what that means.
Yeah, I
you know what I mean?
think that like for what it is, it isn't much. It's pretty paint by numbers in that way.
Sure. I mean, it was clearly made with a lot of passion for the games. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of game references.
For sure. And if you didn't have if you didn't have the voice acting, I think that this would have sucked. Like if you just had randos.
I don't know. I
loved Jack Black. I thought Chris Pratt did better than I would have ever expected.
Agreed.
So we're kind of getting into the cast.
We're talking about performances, absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess when we talk about performances, then like one of the people I called out, and please, I'd love to know yours as well, was Charlie Day, who played Luigi. when I was watching the movie, I really liked that performance.
Really?
But as soon as I stepped away from it, I kind of went, that wasn't Luigi.
I was like, not only
none of that was Luigi.
I don't even know what Luigi is, but all I know is like Charlie Day was wasted on that character, or he was wasted on Charlie Day. Like they didn't like Charlie Day is like this manic energy, right?
Absolutely.
Like he was just kind of like this, like me. I'm a bit scared.
He was just scared all the time.
Nothing there, dude. Yeah. I actually thought he was like the biggest missed opportunity or wasted voice actor.
And
to be honest.
They just chucked him in a cage for 90% of the movie. Yeah. Like it was nonsense. Like
so give him more Charlie Day energy in that cage. Is my point. Like do something else. Like I thought he was the biggest waste, but Seth Rogen I quite liked.
Did you?
I did.
I found him very distracting. Like I liked the character, and then as soon as he opened his mouth, I was like, "Oh!"
They found it that it was him distracting.
Yeah, the voice.
I didn't realize it was him till halfway through.
Oh, really? I just as soon as I heard those dulcet tones, I was like, "He's stoned doing
dulcet
this.
Tones."
He's so stoned doing this." I'll tell you my favorite, and I know it got a lot of heat, but Anya Taylor-Joy is Princess Peach. People are so woke, and I don't care. Like Princess Peach has become like a bigger character in the game. She's not a damsel in distress anymore.
What's woke about
Apparently, Luigi is. She was great in this.
What's woke about it? The fact that the
fact that she's a badass. I really like that.
You play as Peach.
Huh?
You play as Peach in like 90% of the games now.
In some of the games, yeah. I like that. But obviously, if you're going back to the originals, she needs to be saved from a castle DL. That's how it works.
I mean, whatever.
I actually really liked her voice performance. I thought she had like a good strength behind it. Like when she needed to be like, when she needed to be a princess, she was a princess. But then when she was in the war room, she was like, we're going to go and get the Donkey Kongs.
She was really good. Jack Black I think, takes the cake.
Completely. Yeah. He's when he started singing, and everyone loves that song. I was a bit like,
Peaches,
I was like, that's Jack Black. But the rest of it, I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty good.
Yeah. No, I actually liked all of it. Like even the singing, I was on board for. And then a special reference out to Kevin Michael Richardson as the Penguin King.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, he was good.
I like that.
More of him would have been nice.
More of that.
More of him would have been nice. Who played Toad?
That was Keegan-Michael Key, wasn't it?
Oh, okay. He was the top end.
It was Keegan-Michael Key. The thing, you know what it was, right? That earnestness that the Penguin King brought, that's what I wanted for the rest of the film. But the rest of it was so lighthearted and, and like, don't get me wrong, Bowser was, if I was a kid, I'd think that'd be pretty scary. Like, that's not
big dude.
Yeah. He's like
spiky
all
dude.
Spiky and teeth and big claws and pulling out mustache hairs.
Rude to his people.
I just didn't think it had enough, didn't have enough earnestness to it. Yeah. That's what it didn't have. So should we talk a little bit about what actually happens in the movie then? So the thing that, and talking about these characters, the thing that kind of annoyed me was the convenience of it all. Like it was all so convenient. They came through the pipe. Mario came into this mushroom cartoon kingdom and was like, oh yeah, that's normal. And then he gets to the castle and he goes, I need to see your princess, who's like the highest ranked person there.
Yeah.
And they go, no. He sneaks through and then he meets the princess and she's like, no, you can't come with me. Okay, you can come with me. And then, you know what I mean? And then like they go to the Kongs and they go like, we need your army. And they go, no. And then they go, okay, you can have our army. It's like, it's so convenient.
I just don't know what you're expecting, man.
Just like anything.
I don't know. I really don't know what you're expecting. Like, I guess like Dungeons and Dragons is a great like game adaptation style, but there's a lot more substance and lore to that world. Like, this is fucking Super Mario. This is like a step up from Atari, like in the first game ever made. Like that, there just isn't that level of context, intrigue in this medium.
I'd say over the years they've probably built enough to. It's been going since the 80s.
Luigi's Mansion, like ghosts.
And they had like
Super Mario Smash Bros.
References to it.
Yeah, that's fine, but that's all you're gonna get. Like, it's not depth enough. There's not enough depth.
I feel like over the years, there's enough they could have built a story from. Like, come on, man, they've got like 1,000 games.
They're all the same, bro. I agree to disagree, but
okay, that's fine. What do you think about the pacing then? Like, I was just kind of talking about. I was kind of talking about it anyway. But like, what do you think of it?
Generally okay. Lagged a bit at the end.
Okay, yeah, okay. It did get a bit like.
Yeah,
I just think the convenience of it like kept it moving. Like, it was super like concise.
It was concise. Also, they like. The video game like references were added in like very, very consistently. So like every time there wasn't like one stint of that. It was kind of pretty consistent. So you'd constantly be like, oh yeah, that, and like take you out of it for a moment.
That's interesting.
So I think that helped with the pacing. And in the end, you had way less of that. So for me, it was kind of like, okay, here comes the big boss battle.
Yeah. You kind of knew it was coming. Yeah. I think my favorite video game like scene, not reference scene, was like the very first one. So the very first scene. You see their advert, and I quite like that conceit, right? That it's the me Mario. They're like made up voices for the trailer.
That was hilarious.
That was cool. That was interesting. But then they come out of the trailer and they're obviously starting, like you say, starting their own business. And they get their first call and they realize their van's broken down, so they have to run
the platforming.
And they parkour. Yeah, that's pretty much a direct reference to the first level 1-1 of like the first Mario game. And I really liked that.
Yeah, no, super cool. Same with I don't know if you noticed, like we can go through them. The ones I had was like the Mario and Peach training. That was kind of a direct reference to the Super Nintendo. Yeah. And then you go into DK versus Mario, which pulls you all the way back to the original.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a Game Boy or Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, that's an arcade
game. Yeah.
Where he was Jumpman, which is also a reference in this.
And then you get like kind of assemble your ride style. Mario Kart stuff, and then you get the Rainbow Road.
What did you think of the Mario Kart stuff?
I liked it. I thought it was funny.
Okay. I quite like the bit where like
and like the DKs that were like managing the like
you know there's like in the very first game on Rainbow Road there is like a cheat where you can go off the side at the perfect moment.
I liked that. Yeah,
I liked that moment too. Like that was the kind of callback I wanted. But like I feel like it was so ham-fisted into that part of the movie. Like so okay, right. So here's the setup of the movie, right? So Princess Peach decides to beat Bowser, Jack Black. She needs to go and enlist the help of the Kong army.
Nearby world.
Yeah, the Kong army. It's like 4 separate worlds. It's like, it's pretty, they're all just together.
Yeah.
So they go over there. But the thing that kind of got me was that this was an imminent threat. They really needed to get there quickly.
Yeah.
And then, oh no, wait, we've got a day so Mario can train on his training course.
Yeah.
And then they got there and then I feel like the impending doom of the incoming Koopa army and stuff, like every time they needed to get somewhere slowed down just a little bit more. So it's like, how do you, like they need to get there. They've got this urgency and then, oh no, wait, they don't have this urgency. And then they get there and then the urgency's back. And then all of a sudden the Koopa army have just caught up to them. It's like, it's a bit all over the place. It's like, I'm not sure how far away they are. Like, should they be worried about them arriving immediately? And then they take a shortcut.
Are you getting in this level of detail, like you're going to only be disappointed.
It's true. Maybe I'm just overthinking it.
Also, he was too busy trying to, perfect his romantic craft.
He was trying.
He couldn't like be invading right away. He had to put some,
talk to me about Bowser. Bowser's motivations in this are quite interesting.
Yeah. So interspecies, relations, as Tommy likes to say, Bowser's trying to basically woo Peach
because he's loved her from afar for
many moons,
many shells.
Yeah, many shells. But yeah, we get some songs, we get some role plays with Koopas dressed up and cross-dressed like I am in my pink dress, as we've talked about.
Of course.
We get
lots of different outfits from Mario. Lots of different references. The cat reference.
We do get the cat reference.
That's from one of the games.
Gail and I have played that together. It's a little co-op.
Which one's that? That's
it's real recent. So I bought
Mario
that for her.
World or something?
Yeah, I don't remember. It's recent. It came out like a year ago.
Yeah.
I bought it for her for like a birthday or something. We played that. Yeah,
that's fun. I like that stuff. And there's like a bit to it where like there's I think there's a shop in the background which sells the different hats he wears in that game,
really?
So you can change. Yeah, little things like that. And there's good little references like when they're first walking through the Toad village and they walk past a shop and there's the guy's like, hey, does this actually work? And the guy who's trying to sell it to him is like, yeah, you're just blowing it, which is like a reference to like the old cart. Yeah, you've played cartridges before, N64.
Yeah.
You take it out, blowing it and put it back in. Yeah, subtle things. I think in terms of like the world building though, like I think they did like outside of that, like lack of knowledge of how far things were away from each other. There's this big floating castle that's just going. I quite liked the kind of world they built, like the bits where they like went above the clouds and they could see everything, and it was this beautiful like scape of these like crazy raised up platforms and stuff, and they built in little elements of that. I quite liked that the platforming stuff was kind of there, but subtly there.
Yeah, it's cool, and I didn't mind that stuff. I think it's kind of pretty inexplicable how they wear the white gloves, and he's like, oh, it's a style thing, but then they're like flashback to like kids and Luigi's being bullied and they're still in their outfits.
Oh my God, yeah.
Pretty inexplicable. Like, were these kids just like Halloween all the time? Like, why are they wearing these? Like, that kind of threw me out. But
that's true, because those outfits were supposed to be for their new business.
Yeah, it was like and it's like they're dressed them as kids. I'm like, well, plot hole.
Well, that's just a reference to Kid Mario. That's all that is. It's nonsense. There is one thing that took me out of it a little bit, and I know I'm being a bit harsh on this, but like they never really explained why Peaches was there. Like,
well, you gotta have a follow up, right?
You reckon that's for the follow up? Maybe
they did. Like they say, like we never knew. I showed up through a pipe.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So I'm sure they're gonna like give some backstory there.
cool, guys. I was like, do you reckon you'd watch a second movie of this?
Not unless you made me. What I would say is the one thing we haven't talked about it. Like the music was pretty good.
Yeah. So before we move on from world building, there's one thing I did want to say. I liked that they didn't feel the need to explain everything. So like,
it's not much to explain.
No, but like things like
none of it makes sense.
Power ups, for example, like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
like you eat a mushroom, you become big.
There's no way to explain that.
No, but like I like that they didn't need to. They just kind of went, yeah, you eat a mushroom, that's fine. But then they counteracted that with Mario being like, I don't like mushrooms. I'm like, you don't need that. That's nonsense. Just eat the goddamn mushroom.
They were consistent. You didn't like him in his pasta.
What did you think of the music?
Yeah, I thought it was like really cool how they like interjected it in certain ways. Like when they were like under the Brooklyn Public Service Works, nightmare situation in the beginning, you get the just immediately in the background. I loved that.
So I called out here that there's a big difference in this between the soundtrack and the score.
Yes, and that's what I meant. The score.
We talked about this last week or the week before. You sound so like, for me, music, I don't really notice it unless it's really good or really bad. Full stop.
Yep.
Why did they have all the 80s music in this? They've got like 50, 60 years of Mario music to pull from. Just make a score that's cohesive all the way through.
They did have a lot of Mario music.
The score was amazing.
They did have a lot.
The soundtrack, I was nonplussed on.
I mean, it was like all 80s stuff, but Mario got big in the 80s, didn't it? So maybe that's why.
Yeah, but I mean, it didn't need it. There's just so much they could pull from.
I need a hero. I like that.
Come on, man. That was also in that new Shazam movie. I was like, I don't. Yeah, and at the moment where
you've been out-heroed. You've been over-heroed.
Unnecessary. I didn't need it. I felt like there's so much they could have done with the score they already have. I like the songs they put in. They're good songs, but they didn't need to be. Didn't they do Mr. Blue Sky from bloody Guardians of the Galaxy as well?
I don't remember.
Like, I don't need all these songs.
I don't remember.
It just didn't need it for me. But it seems like you liked it.
I didn't mind it. I mean, it's like kind of a goofy movie. So like having some goofy 80s songs in there, like kind of were fit for purpose, I thought.
Okay.
And we did get like the Mario theme song. We got the deed, 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 like from fucking Mario Kart. You got all the songs.
Oh, there's a ton.
You got the Rainbow Road song. Like, so they did do it.
There's a ton of references. So like one I really liked was at the very beginning of the movie when Luigi's phone rings for their first job, or it might be their mom. I can't remember which one. It's the tone that happens when you turn on a GameCube.
Ah, okay.
Do you remember when the GameCube thing like?
I vaguely remember.
You remember when you see it and hear it? Like it's that, and it's great.
I remember seeing it, but I don't remember the sound. Yeah,
I had a GameCube, and I think I played it about 4 times. I bought it way after its time. Like I bought it like late because I was like, "There's this one game I really want to play," and then I was like, "Wow, this is crap."
Yeah,
completely unnecessary piece of tech. Fun though, fun to have, fun to look at.
Nintendo always gets weird.
Definitely a cube. Yeah, they do, don't they? They have these weird things. I think, what do you think of the action then? Like, we sort of skipped around action locks. There are some action beats in it. I think Rainbow Road is a good one.
Yeah, I thought that was really fun. I liked, like, when they fall off the Rainbow Road and, like, get out of the whale or whatever.
Yeah, I like the falling off the Rainbow Road bit. Like, that good bit of jeopardy in that. Like, you're like, oh my god, they're split up. And it was Donkey Kong and Mario together, and they'd been swallowed by a big eel thing. And it was like, well, Princess Peach is about to marry Bowser. How are they going to get out of this?
Yeah.
I like that.
I did like the action nods to the games. Like most of the action sequences had like nods to the games. You know, like bananas, shells, jump, like Mario bouncing around. Like he bounces on someone and suddenly a shell's in his arm. It's like that's how it works in the game. Cool.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. The Donkey Kong fight is another one where he's like, he's testing all the power ups and he's really small.
Yeah,
I kind of like that. I thought it was,
but otherwise, like the CGI was kind of just run of the mill. It's like
you think I thought CGI was great.
It's animated. It's an animated movie.
But it was
different than anything else.
I feel like outside of when they like had the faces on screen, it was really detailed and really like there were times when it was like they'd do like a superhero landing and it would like zoom in on like the arm or whatever and you'd be like, wow, the detail on that's insane.
Yeah, I didn't notice.
It was good. Trust me, it was very good. They clearly had a lot of time and budget for their CGI. It was pretty flawless, I thought.
Clearly, yeah.
I think in terms of like the non-spoilery stuff, there's not much else to talk about.
No, I mean, like, I don't think there is any, like, what can you spoil, dude?
Well, let's hear
it. Like,
let's go into our usual bits then. Give me your tones and themes for this movie.
Friendship.
I like that they didn't force like a Mario and Peach's love angle.
It was there though.
It was like lingering. Subtle. It was lingering, but it's not forced on.
Believe in yourself. Stick up for the weak in the world, the little guy. Avoid interspecies relations.
Yeah, let's avoid that, please.
I don't know, man.
Bitches.
I thought he was saying bitches.
I did at one point as well. I was like, maybe he did once or twice just to throw the audience.
Yeah.
Brothers for life. Bros before hoes, bros before Bowsers, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that was very much a big part of this movie.
Yep.
What were your 3 best and 3 worst then?
Creative integrations to that's the game moments. I liked that.
Yes, same.
Voice acting and comedy was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I actually had the use of the Mario music in the score. I did like that.
I really like that. I thought they did it well. They built a score out of what was already quite solid music. I just mentioned the unforced love angle. Like that a lot. I feel like that will happen at some point. But of course. It's good that they didn't just go, we're doing everything right now. Like, here's the, you know what I mean? Like,
here's the entire plot.
Here's everything. I like they didn't do that. Like, I mean, it's lazy enough they didn't have to do that as well. That's what it is. It's a lazy movie. I like the Rainbow Road scene. That was a lot of fun. And Peachy's being a badass. I thought she was great.
What about, what do we not like? I think
Hit me.
Story is paint by numbers.
Lack of a compelling story. Yep, got that.
But it is, I wasn't expecting much. I don't know why. All these movies have a bit of a climax battle that just feels so unnecessary.
Yeah, okay.
Every movie these days, can we just kill this trope? Climaxes can be emotional as much as a physical altercation. I get that maybe this
I want to finish at the same time you do. Yeah, exactly.
I get that this isn't maybe the movie for that, but it's just the little rant by me.
I feel like Ant-Man's ruined that for me because the first 2 were such small movies, and so they were adorable, man. They had all their charm and the big characters, and then it was a really small ending. And then the third one, you were just
added all the ants.
He got eaten by ants. You're oh, come on. I think everything's doing that. I think
just Marvel in general fucks that up. But if you're looking for some Pixar level adult jokes that go over kids' heads, they don't really exist. 0. So
we've made all of them, and that was us adding things to the script.
For sure.
I put, just like you said, the lack of a compelling story. It's not. It's for kids. Here's a shiny thing that you'll recognize. The volume of references, the fact that everything in this is a reference to something. I'm like, oh my God, this is too much. And then my third worst is the fact that this is going to get a sequel. This is the highest grossing video game movie of all time.
Really?
After 2 weeks. Maybe even after the first week. Yeah. It's it's going towards $1 billion.
I mean, we're getting in a space where video game adaptations are doing well.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Last of Us, you got this, you got what's that other one that Dungeons and Dragons kind of counts?
Yeah, it definitely counts.
So, there's a formula that's kind of what's in.
I'm fine with it as long as they learn the right things from this. I think if they go bring out a sequel and it's got a few extra little jokes for the dads, as Peter Kay would say.
I was expecting more, Lego movie style.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's the bar it needs to reach for. And what's the shame about this is it came out just about the same time as Puss in Boots. We haven't seen it or talked about it, but that's apparently amazing.
Very good. Yeah.
Apparently the gold standard along with the Lego movies. And it's a shame it came out at a similar time because that's clearly overshadowed what this could have been.
Yeah.
So then, talk to me then, DL. Let's do this. So we don't have a rating system on the show. We don't say 3 blue shells out of 5 green shells. We don't say 10 stars out of 10. We just
Big
say
mushrooms, little mushrooms.
Is this movie better or worse than Aquaman 2018? The most average movie of all time.
Most average movie of all time. And this is the rare movie for me where Aquaman is better.
Me too. Tell me why.
Look, I just think say what you will about what's his name? Momoa.
Yes.
Say what you will about the crazy Johnny Depp wife.
Amber Heard.
Say what you will about making William Dafoe basically a Robin Hood-esque character in a major film.
With a top knot.
It's more intriguing.
No, he was like a Splinter character in that.
Yeah, barely a character. Yeah. It's more, there's more there. There's more to even criticize.
I know.
So that's for me enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think this falls into that category of movie that I am... Okay, right. So we've talked about this 1,000 times, but I'll just reiterate one more time. There are bad movies because you can make fun of them and it's great to talk about. There are good movies that are so good you can have a lot of fun talking about. Talked about Inception last week. And then there are movies that are just so nothing that they're just hard to even express feelings about. Yes. And this is that. I'm like, I wouldn't even watch this on an airplane. I did this because it was making so much money and it was, everyone was saying, go and see it. And now I'm like, wow. I really gave my money to this.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I mean, at least I didn't go and see Mafia Mom. That's That's where I draw the line.
That's your line in the sand?
Yeah.
Your deal breaker?
Let's do those few bits of spoilers then. Let's do that. So let's talk about the final battle.
Oh, God, do we have to?
The thing I found most interesting, most weird, and a bit nonsensical about this is that they had the final battle in Brooklyn, which
seems like there's big interdimensional consequences to
this. 100%.
That are not acknowledged.
So what happens is, effectively, Bowser tricks Peach into marrying him by saying, if you don't marry me, I'll destroy your entire kingdom. If you do, it's effectively blackmail, right? Yeah. I mean, the only way a guy like that can get a girl. Lol. That's a joke for the dads. So basically, they're about to have their marriage. She tricks him in a double turn and becomes a badass again, uses one of the power-ups and freezes him.
She turns into like Elsa.
Yeah, it really is. I've never seen that film, but such is life. And then they fire one of the bombs at Mario, and it chases him, and he's got his little flying power.
Yeah.
But he flies it into the original portal he came through, tunnel, whatever it is, pipe, and it goes all the way through to Brooklyn and explodes.
Well, like the impact of the explosion at the very least.
That's not good.
Yeah, it's like, Mario, your family is there.
Yeah. I'm like, Brooklyn's
remember all
a big
that
place,
save Brooklyn mantra?
Yeah.
And then you just send the deadly bomb?
Like, where you take it anywhere? Take it into the sea?
Bro.
You know what I mean? Go anywhere. Anyway, so they have a big battle in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
And Mario has his whole... this is one of the themes that I didn't mention, which is never give up, effectively, right? Like
I guess, yeah.
Never give up.
Yeah, he does. He does have some heart to him, some perseverance.
And him and Luigi touch the star at the same time. We didn't even talk about the star.
Him and Luigi do touch the star at the same time.
Me and Luigi touch the star at the same time.
That sounds weird saying it. They do touch him at the same time. It at the same time?
The star.
And they, go star crazy.
They beat him up.
Beat up
They beat him up. You can tell by DL's tone that he's...
happy ending.
Tapped out at this point.
I mean, dude, this is so boring. It was so expected.
And the family accepts them and they're all happy, but then they go back to
They don't really acknowledge the interdimensional cracking of space and time.
But if, so you know how they all come out and they're all like, yeah, Mario, you did it. Yeah. However they sound in this movie. The thing I'm like is, like, let's say hypothetically, right? You're having a normal morning. You've had your breakfast. Yep. You've come back from the gym and you just... Yeah, exactly. Everything's toasty.
Yep.
And then you look outside your window and half the city is exploded and there's a big battle going on. You have no idea who's good, who's bad. Someone you know's in it. All right. And then the someone you know's in it kind of wins the fight, but half the city's exploded. Would you go down and be like, yeah, you did it? Or would you go like, what the fuck did you just do to the city?
Or just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
That could have been like a joke.
Why
is there a big turtle?
Yes, exactly. Why is there a big snapper turtle in the middle? The whole thing to me, I'm like, why are they applauding?
Like that could have been a comedic joke used.
There could have been anything. They could have all been like...
How do we not have Yoshi? He was barely in the movie.
Well, he's for the
missing.
Sequel.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you didn't know this, which you definitely didn't because you didn't stay for the post-credits, neither did I. The post-credit scene is there's like an egg in the colors of Yoshi left in Brooklyn.
Oh.
So I think the next one will be they have to go back to Brooklyn to get Yoshi out.
Save Yoshi.
And also they'll have their love angle and yada, yada, yada. Would you watch a sequel to this?
Not willingly.
Well, what if like I said, like we've been harsh here, but what if they learned from this? They went, let's add in some more jokes for adults. Let's give it a slightly more consistent story, which is... Go on.
Yeah, like I think that, as you'll see in our correspondence, my partner loved it, so I'm fucked.
Yeah,
you're going to have to see it regardless. Yeah. But if it was up to me, probably would skip it. I'd probably go see Air or something.
Your delightful partner sent me a recommendation that we could do for the pod, which is our partners recommend a movie and we have to talk about it. And I just said, I'd love to do that, but I just don't want to watch anything that you want to watch. The recommendation was to watch The Little Mermaid this year, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, look, the reality is, I'll probably end up having to watch that one for sure.
Sure.
With her, but
I did say that they can watch movies that we don't watch for the pod, right? Like they have the option to do other things.
By all means. The reality is, I think that my partner and I get along on a lot of different ways. Movie taste is not one of them.
No.
One of the deltas.
Mine does really like action movies, which is good. That's nice.
Action movies are not, a part of the... True stories, sure. Thrillers, yes.
Yes.
But that's about it.
So much as we love you guys, we're probably not going to do that. And plus, our audience would hate that. Like, if our audience have got to this point, they clearly know that that's not for us. Brilliant. Would you like a bit of Truffles trivia then, DL?
I guess, yeah, why not?
Well, I have actually done something a little bit different for you this week. Okay. Now, you know I like to mix it up when I can. So I have done a mix of things. So I'm going to give you a piece of trivia, and you have to tell me if that is from the 2023 Super Mario Bros. Movie or the let me get this right, the 1993 Super Mario's movie with John Leguizamo, Bob Hoskins, and Dennis Hopper.
Wasn't there a 2001 or a 2021 movie?
Maybe not like a mainstream movie. Definitely not.
Yeah, let's do it.
True. Which one do you think this is, DL? So the Yoshi, there is a scene with the Yoshis in this movie. They all run by the camera. They were actually puppets, and they actually were made of 64 separate moving parts. Is that from this movie, or is that from the 1993 movie?
That has got to be from the 1993 movie.
It absolutely is. So if you remember in that movie, there is a Yoshi puppet, which is like, it's just a fucking dinosaur. It's really weird. And it was made of 64 separate moving parts, 200 feet of cable, and it was crammed inside a 3-foot tall structure, which I find terrifying and baffling all at the same time. Well done. You got that one very much right. Here's another one. In this movie, either the 1993 or 2023, there is a French restaurant called Chias de Canard, which I'm never going to say correctly, in the background, and that you drive by it. But that roughly translates to Duck Hunt, which is obviously another Nintendo classic.
That's going to be the 2023 movie.
Right, it is a 2023 movie. Apparently, so the game was often packaged with the Super Mario Bros. 1985 release, which is fascinating and very strange. Two more for you then, very quickly. During the main chase scene, one of the actors got so invested that they actually broke their finger when they were living out the actions. Is that this, or is the 1993 movie?
I think that you are trick questioning me here, and maybe someone did do that in an animated booth, and that'd be really funny. I'm hoping for that. So it is the 2023 movie.
That's what I was hoping you'd go for. It's the 1993 movie. So during the main chase scene of the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie, Bob Hoskins actually broke his finger when a van door slammed on his hand. Yikes. And for the rest of the film, Bob Hoskins was wearing a cast that they painted pink to look like a hand. Who would have guessed it? Final bit of trivia, DL.
Like a terrible movie.
Final bit of Truffles trivia. Mario and Luigi's parents in this movie were actually relatives of the folks who played them on screen. Is that 2023 or is that 1993?
That is 1993.
It's not. It's a 2023 movie. Designs for Mario and Luigi's parents and relatives were based on sketches made by
designs.
Nintendo.
I thought you meant the voice acting.
Were made by Nintendo that were unused in the games. Love that. Look, ultimately, this movie, I should have gone in with no expectations. I think the box office made me feel like it was going to be way better than it ended up being. It was just a bit of a disappointment for me.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a disappointment because I didn't go in with expectations, but it was pretty run by the numbers.
It was a movie.
It was a movie.
DL, do you have any correspondence before we wrap up the show? Hey guys, if you want to send us stuff, send it to @podcastassemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Find all that on www.podcastassemble.com, where you find all of our contact details.
Yeah, The Partner, unexpectedly funny, not just for kids and not cheesy. I don't know if I agree with that, my Meisman, but I will say I agree with her assessment that Luigi is a bit of a bleep and Peach is a badass. Well, she used a different word.
But same sentiment.
Yes. Great integration of all the Mario worlds, Super Mario, Mario Kart, Bowser's Fury, yada, yada, yada. And really loved the fun interactions of Peach's take on Bowser. Toads were adorable and funny. She really loved it.
It was very adorable. That's one thing we didn't talk to. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. If that's your demographic, great.
That's your go.
Maybe it's just not made for 2 35-year-old men, DL/30-year-olds.
I guess so, yeah.
Very possibly. Yeah. Who would have thunk it? Friend of the show, Leone, messaged in. Thank you, friend of the show, Leone. We love it when you send us stuff and or things. One thing we haven't really talked about on the pod, and probably for a reason, is what friend of the show, Leone, sent us, which is around the alleged domestic abuse by Jonathan Majors, and apparently other people have started coming out of the woodwork.
We don't. It's hard to talk about this stuff before it's all like, you know, stuff comes out and you get the real stories, but This doesn't look good.
Well, he said, firstly, what do we think? And secondly, do we think it wasn't actually our Jonathan Majors? It was one of his variants. Bad joke to make, but I'll run with it, please.
That's funny, actually.
What do we think? Look, it's tough to talk about, man.
Yeah, it's like, again, don't have full information. I think that, like, it's pretty crazy. Like, you know, it's unlikely usually that something like this doesn't have any, true or false, have repercussions on, you know, the casting. Like,
yeah, for sure.
These usually doesn't really care. Like, if we've seen before, one of the few, like, they don't care if it's true or if it's false. The fact that it's in the news, you're pulled.
Sure.
So, like, one of the few times we have seen someone come back is the Guardians of the Galaxy got uncanceled.
Yeah, James Gunn.
But that took years.
Yeah,
the movie's just coming out. And they don't have years for him.
Kang Dynasty, all the rest of those movies, they're in the works.
Yeah.
There is a really simple fix here, if you don't mind me saying. I joked about variants before. Maybe they just use someone else and say it's a different variant.
They are probably going to have to do that. The reality is he was good in the role.
He was really good.
Say what you say about, like, how he's probably a bad person. I don't know. All that remains to be seen.
Who knows?
It sucks.
It really sucks. It's unfortunate, and I don't want to talk about it until we know more. I feel like it's something like just saying, he's a bad dude. Like, how do we know that? Or, you know, like, I think it's hard to talk about until we know all of the details.
Yep.
Thank you, friend of the show, Leone. Friend of the show, Matt, messaged us. Thank you, friend of the show, Matt. We really appreciate it. And he said he was listening to our 100th episode. Great episode, by the way. Thank you, he says. He has a recommendation for a new film for us to talk about based on our ranking, funnily enough, of Leonardo DiCaprio's hair.
Okay.
That's such a niche thing, but I love it. He says, why don't we do a pod on Shutter Island?
We do.
Love that idea.
I love that movie.
I think, well, we were talking about this, and we're obviously doing our anthology retrospective on Chris Nolan. We were talking about maybe doing one on Martin Scorsese once we've done Nolan. Yet? Not yet. So we will probably save it for that. Yeah. But I am so keen to talk about that with you one day. Yeah. That's a movie, a bit like Inception, I've only recently watched for the first time in the last 5 years.
God, you missed out on some good ones.
Big Dan.
I've seen that one a couple times. Not as many times as Inception, but.
Or The Departed.
Yeah.
You've seen that a lot of times. A lot, yeah. But yeah, like, I'm excited to talk about that with you. And great recommendation for the show, Matt. We love it when you send those through. Send through recommendations for pods. If there's something you guys want to hear us talk about, if you want to hear us take the piss out of the 1993 Super Mario movie, we can do that too. Hit us up. We are obviously, as we mentioned, at podcastassemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. Send it all over, guys. DL, do you want to wrap the show up, my man?
Please do. Give us a review. 5 stars.
5-star, baby.
And thanks to a friend of the show, Mr. Matthew Bliss of Blissery.fm, for editing the episode. If you are a budding podcaster thinking of hiring a podcast engineer to edit your podcast, let him know by email at info@blissery.fm or visit blissery.fm for more information about Matt and his podcast services. You can also listen to his video game news podcast. There's a bunch of stuff going on right now in the gaming world. The Dead Drop, 10-minute episodes twice a week. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, DL.